Hello lovely people, here are two paintings I have been doing over the past few months, actually months and months and months because I've also been ill, but less of that. Yes, these are two things I have been working on in case you thought I had just vanished into the ether. I have been all over the house trying to find the best place to film these or photograph them because for some reason they're just reflecting a lot of light. And you losing all the details, which I will show to you in a minute. But I think I've found somewhere that is a good compromise, and I've worked out how to do it. Many hours have been wasted of me wangling my camera around trying to find the best place to do this for you, so at least you can see. So there is the view, and I'm hoping that I can't really see very well, I'm afraid, because I've had so many migraines and they're so bad that my vision is somewhat impaired and it's all blurry, so I'm hoping that is not blurry for you and it's just my eyes being weird. Anyway, let us get a bit closer and I will explain what this is about, because you're probably thinking, what's going on here? This is not like your normal kind of work at all, Poppy. What's going on? Have you lost the plot? This is very dark. Well, I don't find it that dark, really. But you might do. It might not be to your taste, but I shall explain what it's about and then maybe you'll understand a bit more. I had an idea of somebody stepping through a tear or a gap in reality, a sort of a doorway really, coming to meet me, coming to find me after a long time of searching. And it was this man here who would be perhaps a guide, perhaps a soulmate, just somebody that was very keen to meet me and perhaps guide me back through to the place from where he has come, from whence he came. Now, he's looking like this, very battered and careworn and sad and beautiful, I think, as well, because he's been through so much to get to me. And I found that rather wonderful and romantic. And it gave me a lot of comfort during a time when there has been a lot of isolation, has there not? Especially if you're ill. We won't go into that because it's just very self-indulgent and boring. But anyway, I found it a rather comforting notion that this man had come to find me through this tear. Now I'm going to try and remember what I've called this painting because I keep forgetting. Between torn sky and wild edge they wait, and it's they because we also have the fox companion here, and we have up here in this vortex, if I angle the camera, if I do that, the crow disappears virtually. I angle it away from the glaring light that's on it, and I'm in a really sort of dark corner here. There's nothing I can do about this except for tilt the camera. Anyway, so yes, they are the crow and the poor worn out man with his ragged clothes held together by string and his worn baggy old trousers and his very scuffed boots. The fox, and also these silver birds, which are otherworldly, sort of swallowy, swift shaped, but obviously not because they're silver. Anyway, that's why they're they that are, wibbling and wobbling about. So he has stepped through. See, I'm pleased with him because I don't know whether you're going to be able to see this. I have to come right back here. He has a real presence. He holds a space between the worlds, I suppose, and that's something I don't really feel that I've achieved before. But I feel like he really does hold a space. I would so wish that I could get close enough so you can see that properly. Anyway. What else can I tell you? Yes, obviously, he was not the first attempt. Meet Mr. Prototype over here. He was, see all the light shining off it. I can't read it. Oh, tilt. There you go. If I tilt, he's going to look distorted, but there's not much I can do about this, is there? Look, see? He was Mr. First Attempt. Now, I had been watching a series called Taboo with a character called James Delaney. I don't watch TV, but I had access to this, and it was, I thought, excellent. But it was very dark, very disturbing, very powerful. And the character of James Delaney was not a particularly nice chap, but very compelling. And I loved the clothes that he wore. So he kind of was the basis for this figure, but he came out looking too young. I love his intensity. I do. But he wasn't quite as I'd imagined him. But I was going to settle for that. That was okay. And I worked and worked and worked on this original fox. Oh, let me hold still. Sorry for wobbling. I really like this original fox that I did. I love the coat. See if I can come back a bit and be still. Focus, please. Not going to, are you? Okay. It's too much light. It's just not working. This was the original fox, and I was happier with the original fox. And then disaster struck in the form of me spraying it with too much hairspray. Why would I do that, you say? Well, I'm going to tell you anyway, even if you're not saying it. See up here, this metallic pigment which is reflecting so much light. If I hadn't used some sort of fixative on it, and hairspray is a good fixative, not that I use it, but I have it for fixative, then it would have just come off all over my hands, all over the painting, just smeared around. It gets everywhere. It's just, it's terrible stuff. And I since found out that it was made out of mica, which is mined and picked out of the ground by poor children, which I would never have used it had I have known. But by then I'd already bought it and then found out. Anyway, by the by, it's very messy. You can't see, you'll never be able to see when I'm doing this how vivid it is. It produces beautiful effect, but it is really, really messy. So I had to spray the thing with, every time I used some, I had to spray the painting with hairspray. And then I found that I couldn't work into the painting anymore because it couldn't take any more things on top of the hairspray. And so I'd worked on this fox and got it just beautifully right, and was really happy with that lovely fox, and I had to give up, which was not something that I do easily. So I probably wasted a lot of time trying to get it to work, and it just was never going to. I can't really, I wish I'd get a bit closer and show you. It's not going to focus now. Come on. The detailing in that fox I was so proud of. Anyway, that's why this one had to happen. And I was going to correct the things that I didn't like so much about this chap. I didn't like the things coming out of his hat so much. I thought it made it look a bit... I hadn't done it well enough and it looked a bit daft, although I liked him. But as he came to be done again, he turned into this man, who is much more age appropriate, I think, for me. And I just think he has much more gravitas. He has much more... He's got something so woeful, and so he really does look like he's made a journey through space and time and worlds to find somebody, hopefully me, where the other man just looked slightly... not deranged, but he looks almost angry, which is probably where the James Delaney Taboo influence came from. Too much. So yes, now he looks appropriate, I think. And I think he holds the space much more than the original fellow did. He really does have... It's a shame I can only show you him in chunks, but he has... If you look at his feet there, standing in that circle, the circle may be of fire, or I'm not sure, it's like grassy fire. Yeah, that works, doesn't it? Grassy fire. Anyway, it's a circle. It's where he's come through. I think that it's like grass that's turned into flame. That's how I'm explaining it. Anyway, that's where he's come through, and if you see that there, you can see how much he kind of owns the space, how present he is, which I really liked. Something I didn't feel like I'd ever achieved before. But this fox, although I love this fox and I've worked extremely hard on this fox, I don't think it ever quite had the detailing of Fox A, my previous foxy. Although you're not going to see it. There's so many colours and brush strokes in this coat that you're not going to pick up here. So I still like him very much, this fox. But yeah, I think if I could sort of somehow magically transport the other one and merge the two together, we'd have the perfect fox. Anyway, he's okay, isn't he? I like him. I think I did a good enough job there. What I didn't like, what I cocked up with is, on the original, swinging back, you can just see at the side there some beginnings of the silver birch that I was working on. There was meant to be a stand of silver birch on either side of the man as he came through. And I love silver birch. They're probably my favourite tree besides hawthorn and beech. But for some reason, although I have observed silver birch over many years, these have gone all gnarly and bent. I know that they grow straight, but these, for some reason, have not. And by the time I had realised my error, having got carried away in the detailing of the bark, which I have worked and worked and worked on, and you're never going to be able to see clearly. By the time I'd put all this in and made them look as realistic as I could, I realised that their shape wasn't realistic at all. In fact, they can no longer be called silver birch, really. They must be some otherworldly tree that looks a bit like a silver birch, but actually isn't, because I don't think they would pass muster in the real world unless they were under some force that made them bend everywhere. But anyway, I am pleased with the detailing, and there was absolutely no way that I could paint over this and do it again, because there was another disaster. I had at one point finished this painting quite a while ago, and because I did not have access because things were closed, and I go to real world shops to support them, things were closed because of the shutdown. I think you know what I'm saying. I'm not going to use that other word because it comes from a prison terminology and I don't really think that's appropriate. Because of the shutdown that we've been experiencing, I could not get any varnish, and all I had was some satin varnish. And I put the satin varnish on and came back the next day, and all the detailing on this painting had been absorbed. All the subtle, let me get close to him there. Can you see there's subtle sort of shades of like a slatey grey blue, which I love. I use that a lot. That had all gone. He looked just grey. Everything had gone. The fox, that's why the fox's detail never really came back properly. He was much more detailed before the satin varnish incident. And then I had to paint all over it again, which probably has contributed to the fact that there's so much light reflecting off it. I don't know, but word of warning to anybody using satin varnish, it has a really bizarre effect that I have never come across before. It literally absorbed my colours. That was very devastating, so I had to do it all over again. Thank goodness I've wangled it. I think I've used that word several times, but there's been a lot of wangling and wrangling of cameras and paints and all sorts of things. Anyway, yeah, to get this right. And, you know, it'll probably never be as right as it could have been originally, but I got it back to some level that I could be happy with, and here it is. Just wish you could see it in more detail and more clearly, and I can't even take photographs because the light's shining off it and it looks blurred, or it looks light in one place, and it's just It's very disappointing that you can't see a physical picture and you're just seeing this screen representation, which is never going to give you the full, I'm going to say power, not I'm saying my work is powerful, but he does have a presence, and there is so much colour and vibrancy and detail in this work that you're never going to see, because it's just not going to translate for you. It's just not, which is disappointing. There you go. Anyway, what else did I want to say before I close? Yes, these copper flakes that are falling down. Now, they were going to be leaves. They are leaves. Maybe they're leaves from these mysterious trees that don't really exist in this world. Or perhaps they're sparks. I'm not sure. They could be sparks coming from these vortices, or they could be sparks coming off him, because he has got, let me try and find an area. Oh, it's not going to focus, is it? No. There are kind of sparks coming off him. You can see where his coat is all tattered around the edges. Well, there are also sparks coming off him, but you can hardly see them. And they're copper coloured to contrast with the kind of turquoise of the light that is around him, the illumination around him. You can pick it up there. The colour looks so washed out compared to how it is, honestly. It's very disheartening, but at least I'm sharing something with you. Anyway, these copper bits, they're really difficult to use because you have to put a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of glue on your canvas, like a tiny dab. And then you've got to get this little tiny piece of very, very flimsy, fragile copper leaf onto the edge of a scalpel and manipulate it onto the tiny dab of glue without it fragmenting and just disintegrating, because it is so fragile. And also try and work it into a shape that is roughly leaf or flame like, so it doesn't just look like a blob or a line. That was very nerve-wracking. I can tell this whole this whole process has been very nerve-wracking for me, because everything, it's like at one point I was just thinking, is this painting not one to be done, really? And maybe you're thinking, why did you bother? I don't know why. I just have to. I just have to do it. And you're probably also thinking, why are you doing such dark things? Why is this not like your normal work, Poppy? What's going on with you? Well, to me, this is beautiful. I'm a wintry autumn person that likes dark, twilighty things and themes. That might surprise you, but it is true. I would not have been happy painting a lovely field of glorious... I love wildflowers, but that's not the vision that I had in my head. This is what was in my head, and this is what came through. So I'm sorry if it's not to my usual sort of fufty wufty woo. I can't think of a term. It's not my usual sort of thing, is it, really? And not perhaps what you would expect of me, but this is what came through, and I like it. If you can accept that it's something different, I hope you can appreciate it, even if you're not very fond of it yourself, and understand why I did it and its meaning. I think if it hasn't got any meaning to me, then I can't do it, really. It has to have something deep and purposeful about it that I need to express, otherwise. And this is what I wanted to express, and this man is who I wanted to see, so I created him. There you go. I was going to say lots of other things, but I made some other videos of this previously, and I don't think we need to go into all the other things that I said, because it goes on too long, and we're already on 20 minutes, so time to shut up. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you could at least see something in this, even if the video isn't that great and it's not to your taste. And I really appreciate you sharing it with me. I'm leaning right back here. Can you see it all? There you go. I'm going to finish off just one more time before I go, folks. And this wonderful man. Okay, thank you so much. Love you lots. Bye bye.